Coming up, Korea's political parties clash over a multi-billion-dollar supplementary budget aimed at invigorating the sluggish economy. They previously agreed to approve the extra funds today. The Korean government announces sweeping plans to build more expressways over the next 4 years to alleviate traffic congestion and boost accessibility. Plus, a powerful typhoon is bearing down on Japan. Schools have been closed and transport services cancelled. Korea is also forecast to feel the storm's indirect effects. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 30th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. It's great to have you with us. I'm Mark Broom. We are going to start this lunchtime at the National Assembly. An agreement between Korea's three major political parties to pass a multi-billion-dollar supplementary budget bill at a plenary session today looks in danger of falling apart at the seams. For more, we connect to our parliamentary correspondent Park Ji-won. So, Ji-won, a full assembly scheduled for this morning was delayed. Give us the details.
That's right, Mark. The National Assembly's Budget Committee held negotiations late into Monday night, but the parties could not see eye to eye on the $9.8 billion budget bill. The disagreement resulted in the cancellation of this morning's pre-scheduled full assembly, during which a vote to approve the budget was supposed to be held. The ruling Saenuri Party blamed the main opposition Minju Party for the hold-up. It says the Minju Party kept attaching new conditions, such as items like child care services and additional financial aid to South Korean businesses shut out of the inner Korean Kaesong industrial complex. The ruling party said it was not possible to add anything else at this point. But the Minju Party says the ruling party blocked their efforts to give more financial help to ordinary people. It accuses the Saenuri Party of allowing insolvent conglomerates in the shipbuilding and shipping industries to receive billions of dollars in government handouts while ignoring the needs of ordinary people struggling to get by. With the parties in a deadlock, it's not yet clear whether the budget supplement will pass the Assembly before the end of the day.
And the deployment of the THAAD missile defense system is another huge issue in the nation and at the National Assembly as well. Now, the ruling party says it will support THAAD as part of its official party platform. Fill us in on that.
Yes, Mark. The decision was reached this morning during the ruling Saenuri Party's general meeting of all its lawmakers. Floor Leader Chung Jin-seok said the ruling party has decided to support the U.S. missile defense system as its official party platform in an effort to show its strong determination to counter North Korea's growing missile threats. This comes a matter of days after the new leader of the main opposition Minju Party of Korea, Choo Mi-ae, expressed her personal opposition to the deployment, although the Liberal Party has yet to take an official position on the matter. So it looks likely that we can expect some political fireworks in the months ahead on this highly sensitive issue, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Ji-won, for your report. And please do keep us updated on the supplementary budget and any developments regarding THAAD, and we'll speak to you throughout the day. That was our Park Ji-won reporting from the National Assembly. Now, in other news, US President Barack Obama and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping are expected to share their concerns over the tense situation on the Korean Peninsula when they meet in China this weekend. Speaking at the White House on Monday local time, US Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes said the two leaders will meet on Saturday, a day before the G20 summit kicks off in Hangzhou. Rhodes said China has been working with the US to put more pressure on North Korea, particularly since Kim Jong-un came to power. The two leaders are expected to share their views on the deployment of the US missile defense system THAAD to South Korea, a move China strongly opposes. The global economy, climate change and mutual efforts in non-proliferation through the Iran nuclear deal are also expected to be on the agenda. North Korea's launch last week of a ballistic missile from a submarine was viewed as especially threatening to South Korea in light of the progress it represents in the regime's weapons development. But further raising concerns, a US ballistic missile expert says North Korea could rework its SLBMs to pose an even greater threat. Connie Kim with the details.
A U.S.-based expert has warned there is a serious possibility North Korea could convert the type of ballistic missile it launched last week from a submarine-launched weapon into one based on land. Jeffrey Lewis of the Middlebury Institute in California voiced that concern, noting the North did something similar in reconfiguring a Russian SLBM into an intermediate-range Wusdan missile. Lewis pointed out that an SLBM fired from ground-based launchers could be a bigger threat when solid fuel is injected, as that cuts down on launch prep time. In addition, Lewis urged South Korea to deploy 2 THAAD missile defense batteries, as a THAAD radar only has a 120-degree field of view. Just one THAAD installation would leave South Korea caught off guard if the North attacked with ground SLBMs fired from the eastern, western, or southern parts of the peninsula. North Korea showed off its fast-developing missile capabilities with its successful launch of an SLBM last week, which flew some 500 kilometers. Experts have called not only for the deployment of the THAAD system on the Korean peninsula, but also a nuclear-powered submarine. While various options have been presented to deter the North's SLBM development, the U.S. expert agreed with those who say that deterrence is actually a much less effective strategy than persuading Pyongyang to give up its nuclear weapons program. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, the governor of South Korea's central bank has acknowledged that there's now a higher possibility that the US Federal Reserve could raise its interest rates. In Tuesday's meeting on current economic conditions, Bank of Korea Governor Lee Ju-yeol cited remarks made last week by Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen. Yellen said in a speech last Friday to central bankers and policymakers at a meeting in Wyoming, quote, "The case for an increase in the federal funds rate has strengthened in recent months," end quote. That sent Wall Street's estimated odds for a rate hike in December up to around 60%. Governor Lee also said it's important that Korea's economy has received a positive assessment from global credit rating agencies. The Korean Transport Ministry has announced plans to improve and significantly extend the nation's expressways over the next 4 years. They'll be completely repaved and get some new safety facilities with the goal of cutting highway congestion by more than 40% by the year 2020. Lee Ji-won has more.
Driving around Korea, a country notorious for its bumper-to-bumper traffic, could become a more pleasurable experience in a few years' time. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport announced Tuesday that it plans to use the latest smart technology to radically overhaul the road network and add an extra 882 kilometers of expressway by 2020. It'll expand the total length of expressway in the country to more than 5,000 kilometers by the target year. The plan includes making all bridges earthquake-proof and completely repaving old expressways rather than patching up sections as and when necessary. The ministry will also increase the number of roadside rest areas, increase a fog warning system, and allocate more snow removal equipment. The nation's toll system will also be updated. Toll areas will all be fitted with cameras to read and recognize plate numbers, so drivers can pay the toll automatically without having to stop. The plan will also make more than 78% of Korea's total area accessible by an expressway, up from the current 71%. Nearly 96% of the entire population will also be able to access an expressway within half an hour from their homes. The government will spend around $33 billion from the nation's tax coffers on the project, while attracting almost the same amount in private investment. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, Japan is battening down the hatches as a powerful storm is on collision course with the nation. Typhoon Lionrock is due to reach the coastal regions of northeast Japan late Tuesday. Although it won't directly affect Korea, parts of the nation can expect heavy rain and blustery winds over the next couple of days. Ian Shin has more.
Packing gusts of up to 215 kilometers an hour, Typhoon Lionrock is expected to make landfall in the central and northern part of Japan, including the Honshu region, by Tuesday evening, local time. Powerful winds have already started to buffer the nation, prompting the cancellation of hundreds of domestic flights and disrupting local train services. The typhoon is expected to dump 80 millimeters of rain per hour on some areas. And as a result, outdoor events have been canceled and nearly 1,000 schools closed in Miyagi and Iwate prefectures. Along with that, high wave and flood warnings have been issued along Japan's northern coastal regions. And although South Korea isn't in the storm's direct path, weather conditions in the nation have been under the typhoon's indirect influence since Monday. Some coastal areas in Gyeongsangbuk-do and Gangwon-do provinces have already seen up to 200 millimeters of precipitation and are expecting more downpours throughout Tuesday. Also due to the rain, storm and surge advisories have been issued for Ulleungdo and Dokdo Island in the East Sea, and places such as Jeju Island, the western port city of Incheon, and most of Chungcheongnam-do province are under strong wind advisory. As Typhoon Lionrock moves north, heading towards China and Russia through Wednesday, South Korea's central and eastern regions are forecast to see rainy and blustery conditions. 이윤신, Arirang News.
Now, could we be on the way to a cure for Zika? Scientists in the United States have identified medical compounds that could be used to treat the so far incurable virus, which is believed to cause brain deformities in newborn babies. Oh Young reports.
Researchers at the National Centre for Advancing Translational Sciences say they've identified two groups of drugs that could effectively counter the mosquito-borne Zika virus. One of them stops the virus from replicating, and the other stops the virus from killing fetal brain cells. They identified three drugs: an investigational compound with antiviral properties, a chemical called emricazine, which has shown neuroprotective effects, and niclosamide, which is already being used as an antiviral agent against parasitic infections. Using robot screening, the team examined 6,000 compounds that are already approved for human use or undergoing clinical trial, hoping this would help get the treatments to infected people more quickly. The Zika virus has been linked to serious birth defects in babies, including an abnormally small head resulting from brain deformities. It's primarily transmitted through bites from Aedes aegypti mosquitoes and can also be spread through childbirth and sexual contact. The World Health Organization says there are currently no vaccines or drug treatments effective against the virus, which has been reported in 60 countries so far. Recently, there have been a growing number of Zika cases in Southeast Asia, including Cambodia, Malaysia and the Philippines. The tropical environment in the region provides a breeding ground for the mosquitoes. Singapore reported on Sunday 41 new cases of Zika, all of them infected locally. Thailand has the largest number of patients in the region. In the first half of this year, Thailand saw close to 100 Zika cases, when it usually sees just 2 to 5 in a whole year. Oh Young, Arirang News.
The Islamic State militant group has claimed responsibility for a suicide bombing at a wedding in Iraq, which killed at least 15 people. The attack took place on Sunday in the city of Karbala, some 100 kilometers southwest of Baghdad. An ISIS-affiliated news agency said the group targeted Karbala because the city is regarded as one of the holiest sites for Shiite Muslims. Iraqi authorities say there were 5 suicide bombers in total, and that 4 of them were killed by security forces. Authorities suspect ISIS was also behind the August 20th bomb attack on a wedding in Turkey that killed more than 50 people, including dozens of children. No group has claimed responsibility for that incident as of now. Now, staying with international news, a false report of gunshots late Sunday at Los Angeles International Airport sends hundreds of passengers fleeing from terminals. LAX police said the supposed gunshots turned out to be loud noises, giving no more specifics. But they did say the scare was amplified by social media, which led to more reports of gunfire, some made by second-hand from passengers who'd seen posts themselves online. It was the worst security disruption at LAX in 3 years, as passengers, as you can see, poured onto the tarmac, and some 280 in- and outbound flights were delayed. Police searched the terminal but found nothing. Well, those are stories we are following on this Tuesday afternoon here in Seoul, as well as catching up with us on TV. You can also find us online at arirang.com/news, and all our news shows and other programs are on our smartphone application. All you have to do is search for Arirang TV in your app store. Have a great day. Goodbye.